Hey guys, Matthew with Parkway Business Solutions, bringing you today's video on Entryless. Phenomenal product. We were very lucky to have Caesar with the company go through and give us a great demonstration showing us the ins and outs. So we hope you enjoy it. And Caesar, thanks again for your time.
Let me walk you from beginning to end how the onboarding experience for a new customer would be, and then the benefits of the platform as soon as they're signed up. So the first benefit for a CPA is that you can have in a single page a view of all your clients and how many bills are getting processed, how many have they approved, what's their expenses to month, when are they signing into the platform, are they doing their homework or not. Nice. And then from this dashboard, it's pretty easy as well. So that gives you a lot of control in a very simple and straightforward manner. But once you have this and you get used to the software, adding more and more clients into this is relatively straightforward. As you see here, add new company. And if my internet, here we go. So let's call this demo version 1.0. US company, I'll add it. And immediately, just like that, the company is already created. You can add as many companies as you need. And as you add them, they are immediately brought into the Forever Free account. And then I'll walk you guys through the steps of how to upgrade these and the benefits of upgrading. So now that we've set that up, we see this demo 1.0. The minute that you try to do anything with this company, the system is going to walk you through the onboarding process. First thing that we'll ask is for you to create that email that I mentioned during our last call, which is basically a dedicated Entryless email where your clients can send all their bills or even the suppliers directly.
Great feature.
So we'll call this demo
Parkway.
Yes, actually, we should have done that from the get-go. Parkway demo at bills.entryless.com. We want to confirm where your clients are just because of some special tax settings that some other countries have. So in this case, we'll just go with the US. And then you need to select your accounting package because obviously without the integration to an accounting package, the Entryless, yes, the value is just not there. So I'm going to do it with 0, but obviously you can hook into Intuit, Soho, Sage.
Do you have easy access to QuickBooks? Because you can bounce back and forth, right, to show how.
Yes.
You know,
let me just do it with this one right now, but it's the same idea because all we're going to do is going to get redirected into the QuickBooks or Xero application and say, do you want to authorize Entryless to connect with us? And at that moment, the synchronization process starts. This synchronization is really the heart of Entryless because at this point, we bring you right into the most important page or the page that you really want to see, which is how do I get my bills processed? So when we go into the company settings, you will now see, well, here you will get a reminder of what is that email, as well as a list of all your suppliers. This is a key step, right? Because obviously everything that we do in Entryless needs to tie into your chart of accounts. Okay.
One thing to add, which is really cool, is with QuickBooks Online, it does also pull up the class list as well, which is really neat.
Yes. So now in our dashboard, we see that the email was received. At this point, this email has already been processed. And all of those accounts that I saw you can also get a confirmation email sent to your inbox. It says we received the invoices and they're getting ready to process. So now Entryless, with these emails that have been ready to approve, has already gone ahead and extracted all the information that we need. A couple of features that I want to show you guys here. One, each and every single one of these obviously needs to get tied into an expense account. But the minute that I choose and I say that Puma is a cost of goods sold, all of the invoices from Puma that I have currently and future ones that come from this vendor will get marked as cost of goods sold. And we'll choose an expense account for each and every single one. And now there are two ways that we can synchronize and approve. I'm going to show you first my side-by-side review for the ones that I've selected. Actually, let me bring in Puma as well. So in my side-by-side review, what Entryless does is show you on the left-hand side the bill that you sent, and on the right-hand side, all the information that we've captured.
It's awesome.
At this point, if you wanted to split these invoices into multiple lines, you add a line and you say, this is actually an automobile expense for 400, and the rest is actually, you would have to, currently you have to change this manually, but you get the idea. One of the features that is coming up in our next release is a automatic multi-line.
That's
We're
smart.
also automating this. But currently, you have the option of doing it, but you have to do it manually. You can edit your suppliers, and it will get synced to QuickBooks account as well. And you can merge suppliers, because we have seen that sometimes a supplier might send an invoice where it's called Puma Energy, and another time it might just send to where it's called Puma. Same guy, different formats of invoice that they've sent. Entryless will see them as two separate suppliers at first. If you merge them, any future invoice that arrives in one or the other format will get put into the same one.
So real quickly, just to make sure I understand that correctly. So you've got Puma A and then you've got Puma B. Before it would sync into your software, Xero, QuickBooks Online, so forth, it's going to always take Puma A and Puma B every time and merge them in together as one, so you only have the right vendor at your end source as long as you tell it to do that, right?
That is correct.
So a month later, this happens again. Do you have to merge it again, or does it remember that like a rule and do it from there?
It remembers.
Thank you.
It creates a rule. Once you teach, one of the key features of the Entryless platform is our artificial intelligence and how our platform learns as you teach it how to accommodate your unique business needs. And this is one of the ways that it does it.
That's really neat.
Again, the other one, as I mentioned, once you have Puma and you selected that Puma is always going to be cost of goods sold, it's always going to go for both Puma A and Puma B. It will always show it as a cost of goods sold.
Oh, that's interesting. So it actually backfeeds when you merge something. It actually remembers what you initially called the vendor or classified expenses to for the primary, and backfeeds that to other named invoices as well.
To the ones that you've merged, only to the ones that you've merged.
Interesting.
Right? So in the future, there will be one master account of the two. If you want to change it, then you can do it. That's a little bit, in other words, if at some point you no longer want to see Puma as cost of goods sold, but you really want to see it always as automobile expense, we change it, and then going forward, both Puma A and Puma B will be automobile expense.
Perfect.
Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and approve this one. Once you approve, then the next one comes up. And this one is one where, again, the supplier merge really helps, because this one is not Noosa Junction, but rather Puma. So this is where I hit the edit supplier and I merge.
Now, with different bills and such, I assume that you're going to obviously run into times where it's not going to pick up a vendor correctly or this or that. Will it, or like if the invoice number is not the right one, it needs to be the next line and you type it in. Will it memorize any of that type of stuff?
Sorry, could you ask me that question again?
Sure. Actually, this is a great example. So tax invoice number, you've got the number at the top, right? But
Yes.
if you look a little lower, you could pretend your order where it says Hillside, pretend that was another number there instead. So it confuses a PO number versus an invoice number. If you help correct it manually, does it learn that side of it as well for that company?
It usually does, but it takes, sometimes it won't be immediate. It takes time.
Okay.
But it has in the past. but it's hard for me to guarantee it because it just depends. Each invoice might be different, and it just depends on the supplier. But generally speaking, once you see an invoice and then you see that the platform sees it repeatedly, it starts learning how that supplier should be looked at, and it can apply everything that you teach it.
Oh, I see. Because it's field generated, you can if I were to type in a different PO number than what it's showing me right now, it would track to, hopefully it would track to where on the page that's being populated from, and learn eventually what number I'm really after when it says PO for this specific type of invoice.
That is how it's set up. Given all the different variations,
Sure.
it doesn't necessarily always happen.
Of
That's
course.
a really advanced question. We understand. It's like that.
Yeah.
That's highly, highly impressive. That's even close.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
So again, I'll hit the approve, and now it says that I've had 2 of my invoices that were approved and are ready to, and they've started to sync. So they're approved, and they will start to get synced into Xero. Now I have 5 more that are ready to approve, and I did not do the side-by-side review because I wanted to show you another functionality, which is I can grab all of these and say, yep, Puma's automobile, and that sounds about right. The business owner usually knows their expenses pretty well. So when they look at this and say, yep, that feels right, and they've been using Entryless for a while, they know that we always grab the right numbers, you go into your book approve. So you approve and you sync all of your invoices in a single go. Now, so that saves you a lot of clicks. If in that bulk approval, or if in a side-by-side approval, or at any point in time, there is an invoice that has been sent twice to the system, it will identify it. You might recall from earlier in the session that I said I'm going to add a Puma invoice that I know is going to be duplicated, because I wanted to show you how Entryless sees it.
That's great.
Okay. So then we know that this Puma one is actually not a valid, because it's a duplicate. So I just reject it. And there we are. Go back to my dashboard, and you will see that I have now 6 approved, 1 that is still getting processed, and as soon as it gets processed, it moves over to the ready to review. Any questions so far?
Yeah, actually. So one of the things that it came immediately to mind is bills that are customer-centric or individual customer-centric, where in the accounting software we would want to go in and tag a customer associated with the bill. Does that, once it gets, I imagine that it's just simpler to have that happen in the accounting software once the bill has been moved to the accounting software?
Well, let me see if I understand this correctly. Right now, given the connection that I have with Xero, I didn't import any of the classes, or Xero, they're called tracking categories. If you use your classes to say which client that bill needs to go to, they will appear on Entryless, and you will be able to grab.
I'm sorry. I think, yeah, I might have.
Billable expense is what you're thinking of, right, Mike?
So in a lot of the different accounting softwares, there's class tracking, but then there's also the individual customers, and typically you can mark an expense as billable, and you would track it to a customer. And the other side of that same question is that there's typically a flip side to any type of billable expense, where rather than, say, calling it an expense, we would call it an item. And that item might get connected to our product, I guess, or product list for invoices and how we bill. So I guess first the thing to address would be like the customer tagging for billable expense, but then also the item concept. Just really any thoughts on that?
No, the billable it's on our radar list, and it's on our product roadmap.
Okay.
We don't have it yet.
Okay.
But it is something that we're hoping to add soon.
Interesting.
I noticed that you had PO on there. Do you have the ability to potentially add extra custom fields
No. So the fields that I showed you in the side-by-side review are basically the ones that we have.
Okay. Again, this is still light years ahead of a lot of the stuff that's out there. These are just cool things that would be really great features, because if you had that custom field, that would resolve the billable expenses, why we asked it. So
Yeah.
So here are the fields that we get. Well, here once again, I did up another duplicate. Didn't do it on purpose. I just forgot. But Entryless doesn't forget, and it shows that that we already have this bill for Heineman's Electrical.
Perfect.
So these are the dates these are the fields that we have.
Okay.
Again, here we're not showing those classes and categories because nothing came in, but here is where you would see your first level and your second level classes that you can tag your expenses to.
Got it.
Okay.
Cool.
this is great.
So then another thing that I want to show you guys is particularly for CPA firms, when you're in here, you will see that you can add users. So you can add companies, like I showed you at the beginning, as many, and you can remove them as well if you no longer want to have them in our system. But in the add users, here is where you give access to either one of your junior CPAs or an approver or the business owner, so that they too can come in and review and do different types of operations on our platform. Here in user types, you will see what it is that each one of the different fields are allowed to do.
That's great.
Pretty straightforward. And that way, again, if you have a part-time bookkeeper that is only going to be looking at some companies, you add them for some companies, but not for another. Each business owner can come in, have their own, and have complete flexibility. Or there's just a person that you don't want them to be able to move your chart of accounts, to do any changes. The only thing that they can do is approve, then you give them the approver seat.
That's very helpful too.
All right. So then the last piece, which is I think is our newest feature, and it's really, really cool, is our payments piece. And here, I won't be able to show you how it works because I'm not going to pay these bills.
Sure.
But the way that it works is when you're in the premium account, you come into your payments. Once the bills have been already approved and synchronized with QuickBooks, they will appear in this payments piece. First thing to do will be to add a bank account. We will need to have the tax identification number, add the name of the person that will be utilizing this payment seat. Once you do that, it will ask for, there's two ways to verify your account, either one of our pre-selected banks with your username and password, or with micro deposits that we will do, and then you have to verify.
Now, are the micro deposits for the purpose of banks that are not on your preferred list?
Yes, well, actually, for any banks,
Okay.
you can. The username and password is really straightforward and easy.
Sure.
Basically, it's the way that the banks do validate that it is the account owner that is accessing these features. Some people don't want to put their username and password in our platform, and that's completely understandable. So we use the micro deposits feature, which, by the way, we are built on bank level security, and we're PCI compliant, even though we don't manage credit card numbers, but we abide by those rules.
Great.
So then once you've added your bank account, all of these bills, you're going to be able to just pay in two ways, either by ACH or by check. So let me start with the easy one, which is a check. You click them all, and you say, mail a check now. Well, I don't have an account set up yet, but what it's going to do is basically give Entryless the instruction to print a check on your behalf. Let me underline the on your behalf, because you will see other solutions in the marketplace that will take the money from your account, put it in theirs, and then pay your vendors. We don't do that. We never touch your client's money. We simply facilitate that transaction. And when you hit the mail by check, what we do is we print out a check with your banking information, your client's information, and the invoice number information, put it in an envelope, and give it to the U.S. Postal Service to be delivered. How long does it take for a check to process? It depends on where you are in the U.S. and once the supplier receives it, how long it takes them to take it to the bank and for the clearing and settlement of that check to occur. But on average, it's between 5 to 7 business days.
I don't know why. ACH.
If you hit pay by ACH, there is a one-time hurdle that needs to get that you need to surpass, which is getting your suppliers onboarded. And for a supplier to get onboarded, it's the same way that one of your clients would get onboarded to their bank account. You send them an invitation. They will get a link asking them to create an Entryless account. They will have a receivables, much like we have here Accounts Payable, that the supplier will have an accounts receivables. Right. They will validate their account information, just like your client would validate theirs. And once we know that either through microcredit or through username and password where to send the money, then we facilitate the information between those banks. Once again, we never touch the money.
I'm sure you get this question a lot. Is it a situation that Joe Bob has a certain vendor I do? If they've already got them to sign up with Entryless, are they good for anybody else who needs them as well, or do they have to do this for every one of their clients?
They are good to do it for everybody. They just need to accept the invitation from your client. In other words, Joe the plumber did service for 2 of your clients, and he's already set up with Caesar. But now Matthew wants to add him. Matthew will send him the invitation. Joe will say, "Yes, I want Matthew to pay me through ACH," and you're good to go.
Beautiful.
Great. And what's the turnaround time on the on adding their bank account for the vendor? Is it a day, a 2-day?
It all depends on how they validate their account. If it's micropayments, it usually takes like 2 days or 3. If it's a username and password, it's almost automatic.
Okay, perfect.
2 questions real quick here. So for the vendors that that become approved, do you guys have an ever-growing list of people that are already set up that we would be able to see if they're already set up? And then second would be, could we as a business get set up to where our clients could then pay us through it?
Absolutely. So let me start with the second one. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we've seen that a lot. where accounting clients are like, you know what, I'm going to just send your bill directly to your Entryless account that I am going to look at and approve, and I'm going to pay. And I'm going to pay through this ACH platform.
I agree.
So it's, again, we after the initial setup is made, it's a pretty straightforward. Cool. Now, as far as having a list of pre-approved vendors, or not pre-approved, but vendors that have signed up already and are enabled for payments, we do not have that.
Okay.
But it's a good suggestion. That might be something. I think I would need to probably ask each vendor if they would be okay with us opening it up, and I can't imagine a vendor telling me no, because they want to get paid as fast as anybody.
Sure.
Faster the better.
This is neat.
So that is Entryless in a nutshell.
Mike?
That's really great.
Yeah, I'm very, very impressed with it so far. I've already been talking to a couple of our clients about it, that we're going to try to get rock and rolling pretty quick. I think the biggest part of it, obviously, like the smaller vendors, getting their names would make sense. It'd be hard. But let's say like I've got a charter cable bill, or I've got this electricity bill. Have you been getting a lot of like utility being added in already pretty easily? Because how do I convince them to sign up?
We're working on that, and we're actually talking to different partners where that hopefully very soon, and very soon I mean in the next quarter, we're going to be able to get a partner that will enable all of those typical bill payment guys that you see in all the banking platforms.
When we're done with this, I've got some ideas we should probably talk about that might be helpful to you also.
That would be great.
Okay, and then The cost-wise, I know there's an expense per check when they're doing this, I believe, right? So is there a price difference between ACH to pay a bill versus snail mail?
Yes. To answer your question, the checks are paid by $1.49. ACH, our 30 ACH payments are included in the premium plan. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, guaranteed that all your bills are going to get processed in less than 12 hours. The average time is much lower than that. Now, the Payment Pro gives you unlimited ACH payments. So if there's a client of yours that that is going to use this a lot, the Payment Pro might be the way to go. And it really gives them a lot of room for growth because they can process up to 2,000 bills. And they're all done in 12 hours.
I have to ask the question, since on the other one it has the automated check mailing $1.49. Does that mean you don't have to pay for it under the Payment Pro?
No, it's what we have in the Premium Plus.
Yeah, I figured so much. Okay.
It's still $1.49. The advantage is that for either one of these plans, it's unlimited checks at $1.49.
And the multi-level approvals is nice with the Payment Pro, so you can really, the checks and balances there is great.
Yes. Now, the one thing I will say is that these prices are per payment seat. In other words, only one person is allowed to do and facilitate those payments. If you need more than one seat, and usually that's how our clients like it, we can work it on a case-by-case basis.
And they're also per company. So we could have, let's say I'm the only one that's doing the payment, but I've got 4 clients. It is that times 4, correct?
Correct.
Quick question here. So in the Premium Plus plan, we see 2,000 bills automated. What is how many bills are automated at the Premium plan? Maybe I'm missing something here.
300. So it's a starter or the forever free.
Okay, it's a building. I get it.
It's 300 with the main perks are payments, because in our free plan you don't have payments.
Sure.
The file attachment. So we actually attach the files to your QuickBooks, so you don't have to worry about that again. Support is really important, particularly as the users get acquainted with all the different features. Our premium customers get all their questions answered on average in less than 24 hours, usually a lot faster than that. And the processing time guarantee, which is less than 12 hours, but realistically speaking, our average is below 2. And most of them, as you saw, can get done almost instantaneously.
The extended bulk approval capability.
Yes.
Did we see that in the demo?
So that's where if you remember when I showed you in the dashboard, he accepted 5 at once.
That I did 5 at once, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what that was. I just wondered if there was more, bulk approval that we hadn't seen. So okay, great.
No, it's this bulk review to either reject or approve them all.
Great.
So I wanted to add on, just we had sent over a couple invoices, and I purposely shuffled up the papers because I wanted to kind of put it through a test to see if it would pick up what was an invoice and what was not.
Ah, so you sent us the hardest ones.
I did it on purpose, yeah, and I got it right.
Oh, we did. Okay, great. Well, excellent. Then keep sending them.
It's still, the scans came through clear. They came through very, very nice. Of course, it did not break up the individual ones and put them back together. I would not expect that. But the most important thing I cared about is it captured what was a bill out of 5 things and what was not.
Excellent. Excellent. I'll let our engineering team know that they're doing their job.
Yeah, that's pretty extraordinary for OCR at the small to mid-level market.
We hope you enjoyed the video today in regards to Entryless. I want to do a quick shout out again to Caesar. We really appreciate you taking the extra time to show us all the ins and outs and new tricks with the software. We know this is going to be a valuable asset for our firm. Be sure to check it out, and when you do, let them know that you saw the video with Parkway. If you've got additional questions or looking for some advice, feel free to leave a comment below or reach out to us directly at info@parkwaymail.com. And as always, here's wishing you a very successful week.